Get into it. Maxine Waters on a unhinged rant about Donald Trump and all the things that he plans on doing. If you notice, none of this is substantiated. And again, back to Robert De Niro, real quick. You're going to hear the same things she says are the same things Robert De Niro was saying, was the same thing that one of the ex-J6 officers had to say. It's funny how they all have these same talking points and the same language, and none of them have provided any proof for what they're saying, such as things like Donald Trump is not going to leave office. It makes, even Charlemagne the God, all of them are saying it together. The propaganda has become so glaringly in your face that it's getting insulting. It was insulting years ago. Now it's wild. It's just unhinged. And also there is a person named Robert Garcia. He is also going to be saying some wild nonsense about Donald Trump as well. And then I'm going to play a clip, a little compilation that shows Maxine Waters is doing exactly what I talk about. I've talked about this so many times. I hope at least one person goes and gets the book, Rules for Radicals. It is imperative reading in these times. I'm telling you. But she's doing one of the rules, and the gentleman as well. One of the rules Saul Alinsky has taught time and time again: always accuse your opponent of what you're guilty of. The things that you plan on doing, push on to your opponent and keep pushing it. And that way, when you do it and it becomes something that everyone can see, you have this whole, I don't even know what to call it. You have this whole background of you saying how they were going to cause this to begin with. It's exactly what they're doing. Listen to what she has to say. This is like somebody's mom, grandmother, just getting all unhinged. You know what I mean? It's about bedtime, she had a couple glasses of wine,
Trump has to say. Donald Trump will do any and everything that he can possibly get away with. He does not at all support the Constitution of the United States of America. This is a man who we'd better be careful about. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask the Justice Department and I'm going to ask the president to tell us what they're going to do to protect this country against violence if he loses. I want to know about all of those right-wing organizations that he's connected with, who are training up in the hills somewhere and targeting, what communities they're going to attack. We need to know now, given that he's telling us that there's going to be violence if he loses. We need to know what his plan is and how we're going to be protected.
Well, Congressman Garcia, one of the things.
See, like, what plan? What groups does she think are training in the hills? These all-white groups that are training somewhere far, far away, getting ready for what Donald Trump's going to do, the violence that he promised. None of that has happened. That's why this is so... And if you'll notice with Maxine Waters, she is never in a position where she has to prove what she's saying. A lot of these people aren't. You'll never see Robert De Niro in that position. And the time that you have seen Charlemagne the God in that position, I don't even know why I call him the God. It's such a ridiculous... Charlemagne. His real name's Leonard, if you don't know. Charlemagne, when he got questioned by Gutfield, he didn't know what to say. When he gets pushed by his own callers that call into his show that are saying that they're all pro-Trump and they're clearly black, he has no idea what to say. It's ridiculous. Anytime they get put in a position where they have to talk to a normal person or have some kind of back and forth with an interviewer, they never get questioned. This guy right here, I don't even know this dude's name, but this is the dude that heard the New York governor say black kids don't even know what computers are or what the word computer is, and he just nodded in agreement. That's who this guy is. So what do you think he's going to do when Maxine Waters says all this stuff about Trump? Let's move on to the next clip. Robert Garcia, and this guy's no better.
Yeah, one of the things we know, especially from that Time magazine profile of Trump, it points out that there are 4 separate entities, including the Heritage Foundation's Project 25, that are working behind the scenes to create a government in waiting, complete with Trump loyalists and day one plans to uproot whatever guardrails remain against presidential overreach. Please explain why this isn't hyperbole. This is real.
This is dangerous. And I think what they are preparing is to destroy our democracy, the way we have elections in this country. And the Congresswoman is absolutely correct. Make no mistake, and let's be crystal clear. If Donald Trump gets reelected, there is no doubt that he will try to stay in office beyond his 4-year term. He will destroy this country, our democracy. He'll change the way we run elections. He'll attack secretaries of state, and he'll do everything he can in his power to stay in office. And the country that we know of today, we will no longer have. It's sobering, it's scary, but we have to take it seriously. This is a person that we have to take at his word. And so we have to do everything that we can between now and the election to strengthen, support our local election officials, ask the Department of Justice to be prepared, and most importantly, to reelect, of course, President Biden.
Oh, of course. Of course. That's who we need to reelect. This guy right here, he sounds and looks like an 8-year-old. You know when you have an 8-year-old and you're in front of them and they think you've never been 8 years old, so I'm going to lie to you and you're not going to know that I'm lying. Nobody's ever lied like I lie because, I've been around for 8 years now. And they just start making things up and they're just like, oh man, the chocolate milk spilled because a guy came in, a robber, and he said that if I don't spill the chocolate milk and if I don't eat the cookies, then he was going to do terrible things to my family. And I said I had to. And oh man, I told him it would spoil my dinner. And he was just like, you got to do it right now or else. And I was like, oh no, but my mom's going to be upset. And he said, do it anyway. So I did it. So I ate all the chips and all the cookies and I spilt everything everywhere because the robber told me to. That's exactly... I know it was a long bit, but I'm just saying that's exactly what he sounds like. It just sounds like pure nonsense. And if you notice, when it comes to this propaganda, what they do, they'll have 2 people on, right? Maxine and Robert Garcia here. And he is just saying that Maxine is correct. But he's not saying why she's correct. She's not saying why he's correct. And the interviewer is not asking how they know any of this at all. And all it is, because you always have to imagine when you're watching this type of thing, is that they're speaking to people who are you're not someone who's doing a react video like I am right now. Like, not this. They're expecting people who really believe in this ideology or who are older, who are not knowing much about what's going on, older and younger, that don't know much about what's going on. They're expecting those people to just be sitting there watching this, taking all of this in as if it's fact. Like, it's very scary and he's not going to leave office. It's like, based on what? Oh man, I don't know. And again, you have to remember the whole thing. Again, Saul Alinsky, look him up if you haven't looked him up before. Hillary Clinton considered that man a mentor. Okay. Look him up. Dangerous, dangerous guy. Always taught people to brand themselves as community organizers. They infiltrate every single organizations from BLM to pro-Palestine to LGBT. They co-opt movements. It's what they do to capture power. And they always will accuse their opponents of doing the things that they are guilty of or doing the things that they have planned. And as you listen to this, remember that, because the things that they're saying don't make any sense at all when you really think about it. How does it even make sense? What do you mean he's not going to leave? He's just not going to leave? Based on what? You have to think about them. What are they going to do so they don't have to leave? Before, when they were pushing with the whole Russia and Ukraine thing, Tucker Carlson had the theory that they were going to get into a very hot war with Russia and they were going to enact some kind of emergency act and not have to actually leave office because they would be able to postpone any election from going on because they would have been in wartime. So, I don't know the full law behind that, I'll be honest, but that was one of his theories. And that's what a lot of people are thinking, that something's going to happen where they go, oh, election, pause it, for the country, for democracy, for safety, sorry, election, push it back a little bit. We're going to have to do this. And then, 2 weeks to flatten the spread. And then the next thing you know, it's 2 years later. That type of thing. That's what people are thinking. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I wouldn't put it past them. I'll say that much. Let's get into one more Maxine Waters clip, and then I'll get into that compilation.
Who are already practicing what their government is going to be under Trump. Not only are they planning on a civil war if they have to do that, but he's spelling it out specifically how and what they're going to do and how he's going to get revenge, how he's going to attack his enemies, all of these things. And when he talks about race, we know, and I'm going to tell you again today, Donald Trump is a pure racist. And I am worried that the attack is going to be on people of color.
Based on nothing. Do you see the language there? It's just based on nothing. And when we talk about race, just so you know, he's a pure racist. And I think these attacks are going to be on people of color. How did he even get there? What's going on? Right? It's not even based in reality. Because in order to believe this, you also have to believe AOC when she goes, New York's blue, nobody likes Trump, don't worry. You have to believe Joy Reid when she's like, here's 10 people who don't like Trump and they're black, so don't believe anything you see in that rally that's going on with 50,000 people all standing around. You have to go with that whole narrative. You have to ignore the whole rally. You have to ignore the fact that he is more than doubled the percentage of black voters who now want to vote for Trump. And then let alone, what the Hispanic community is at now. You have to ignore all of that to take this type of stuff in. It's completely removed from reality. I'm telling you, man, it's like listening to your grandma just talk about stuff. You know what I mean? He's a racist, and honestly, I'm very fearful that he's gonna have people start a civil war, and it's gonna be just on people of color. Hey, grandma, that's not how civil wars work, okay, grandma? You can't do that. If it's civil war, you think it's just gonna be, so you think it's gonna be black people just versus white people? Maybe that's what he'll do. He's a pure racist. It's like, okay, grandma, but do you think all the white people are racist? I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them. The person who brings me my pills every morning always pushes me. She pushes me every single morning. Grandma, it's a man who comes and brings you your pills. And he's a wonderful man. No, he's not. He's terrible. Grandma, it's your grandson who brings you your pills every morning, okay? And he's a great kid. Stop it. I don't know. He's light-skinned. I don't know. I thought he was white. I thought he was hurting me. Yeah. Grandma, stop it. Oh my gosh. That's how we start this clip, ladies and gentlemen. And again, the same reason I have such a problem with like Chris Cuomo and all of these talking heads throughout the pandemic is that they were constantly trying to scare people. And it was working. They were constantly trying to install fear into people. And when she brings up civil war and she's saying Donald Trump's going to attack people of color and people of color in their communities, she's trying to actually bring down the black vote that is clearly happening with Donald Trump. She's trying to bring down that percentage. She's trying to just scare those people. And to think you are somebody who's in an office of power and you're actually taking that position to scare black people. You don't want them to just be able to vote the way they want to vote, think the way they want to think, explore their options. And when all of them decide to start doing that, you turn to scare tactics. You actually turn to scare tactics. You are at the age where you could look at whatever powers are behind the scenes and say, I'm not doing it. I don't want to do it. I'm 14,000 years old and I don't have to listen to you anymore. I don't have many years left and I don't want my legacy to be me scaring young black people. But instead, she just goes with it. It's so gross, especially when you bring up civil war, because when you bring up civil war, I'm going to go to the clip in a second. Sorry. But when you bring up civil war, you are trying to scare citizens into thinking that their neighbors are the problem when it's really you. That's what they're trying to do. They're the problem, and they're trying to make you think that your neighbor and the people in your community are actually the people you should fear. That is the worst thing you could do to communities, to a country. That's the worst thing you can do. So when they say that Donald Trump's trying to divide the country, and they say Donald Trump's the one that's going to do all this stuff, look at what they're actually doing. That's why I love to play these mainstream clips, because it shows so much. It shows how dirty they actually are, how gross they actually are. Let's get into this. Sorry for the TED Talk.
I am going to spend some time with the criminal justice system, with the justice system, asking them, tell us what's going on with the domestic terrorists. Are they preparing a civil war against us? Should we be concerned about our safety? What is he doing with this divisive language? It is dangerous, and we're going to have to make sure that we understand that we're not at risk with this man talking in the way that he's doing.
I will go and take Trump out tonight.
And if you see anybody from that cabinet in a restaurant, in a department store, at a gasoline station, you get out and you create a crowd. And you push back on them. And you tell them they're not welcome anymore, anywhere. If you think we're rallying now, you ain't seen nothing yet.
I am going to spend some time with the...
You see what I mean? You see what I mean? And just in case, for some reason, YouTube didn't let me actually show that clip, just in case, what happened was it's Maxine Waters, and she's talking about how she's scared that there is going to be some kind of civil war and these domestic terrorists that Trump has at his beck and call. And then it flashes to scenes of her telling people to rally, telling people that when they see people from the Republican Party, that they should form crowds around them, that they should scare them, that they should let them know that they're not welcome anywhere around here anymore. It's absolutely crazy, the type of rhetoric these people are willing to go through. And then at the same time be like, oh, that Trump, just evil. And then to sit here and try and look like an honest, like she does look like a grandma, you know, not insultingly. She looks like she could be a sweet woman. And to sit there with that innocent face and act like, oh, I'm really fearful. I'm so fearful about what's going on right now. That Donald Trump. And then on top of that, to call the people who support him domestic terrorists. See, that's why they want the division in color so badly, because it's so much easier to depict the white population as domestic terrorists. So many people, especially younger woke types, they're so willing to accept that. Oh yeah, they hunt, they don't listen to us. Oh yeah, domestic terrorists. Yeah, for sure. So easy to just do that. How are you going to do that when all of a sudden all these white people in MAGA, like MAGA is multicultural. Sorry, it just is. You know, like how are you going to do that when it's black people standing shoulder to shoulder with white people and Hispanic people and Asian people? You're just going to call them all domestic terrorists solely because of their political leaning? It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. And I can't believe there's so many people who actually watch this segment and go, mm-hmm. They watch this and they go, mm-hmm. That Maxine Waters, yup, she's telling it like it be. Oh, yes, sir. That Trump, civil war, I heard he's going to start. I heard it was a civil war he's going to start. Oh, yes. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. So tired of that. So tired of that. Anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. Maxine Waters, completely unhinged. So unhinged that it made me unhinged. That's what she's doing. It's spread to me. Now I got to go get checked for TDS because I don't know. I got to look at this picture. If I see Hitler in this picture, then I know I have it. Nope. Still looks like Trump. All right, I'm good. I'm good for now, but I'm going to go get checked. Anyways, guys, like the episode, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications, helps the channel tremendously. You have no idea. And other than that, I'm out.